But as we've kind of alluded to before, and I kind of would like your opinion on this. Do you think this is harder for folks in the queer community or underserved communities?
100% yes. So as I said before, the term self-advocacy comes from another underserved community in the disability rights movement, but it's fully applicable to the queer community as well. So I am myself queer, a bisexual woman, and sometimes having knowing that aspect of myself can lead to discrimination in the workplace or discrimination otherwise. It makes me hesitate in certain situations and makes me a little worried that, oh, well, I don't know if I can be my full authentic self in this. But beyond that as well, folks in the LGBT community and other underserved communities, they're often fighting lonely battles. As I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys know, and that you've heard from other folks, it's very isolating to be in communities like this. So while the concept of advocating for the self, it's empowering, it's a way to reach empowerment. It's crucial to do so, but after going through, possibly your entire life being dismissed or your concerns being minimized, it's not easy to shift from that reality to going to something that seems so counterintuitive to that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so many of us, I think sometimes it almost feels safe to be in the closet, and the quieter and I am about who I am and what I can do, it just feels like it's easier because you don't have to have that uncomfortable moment of standing up for yourself or being your authentic self and letting people having the risk of people not liking you for who you are or not approving you or not giving you the job for that reason. Um, but in the long run, you're just hurting yourself, and so you got to find the courage for yourself to, as you say, to advocate and stand up and be yourself and ask for what you deserve. Because if you don't, no one's just going to give it to you, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think it also kind of highlights the need for us to share our stories with each other, right? Those of us in the community need to share examples of where we have been able to advocate for ourselves, where we felt scared or where we're worried or it had inhibitions, and we said, "I'm going to push through this. I'm going to have a little bit of courage, and I'm going to ask for what I think is right and what I deserve." And if other people can see us doing it or we see other people doing it, that courage can spread throughout the community.
Yes, that
Yeah.
courage and that hope to see it on the other side is also something that's very crucial to self-advocacy, because it's hard work. It can be frustrating, it can be very drawn out, like a lot of advocacy work unfortunately is. So if you're already dealing with daily microaggressions and frustrations that are related to that, expending your limited energy on something else slow moving is can be very discouraging. So hearing about other folks and whether it's their struggles, both their struggles and their successes, are so inspiring and so helpful to your own efforts at self advocacy.
Right.
Totally. Do you think that lack of self advocacy by large swaths of communities are part of the reason for the gender wage gap, the gender identification, sexual orientation wage gaps?
I think the lack of self advocacy contributes to the problem, but citing it as a reason for wage gaps places the responsibility away from those who are actually responsible for it.
Right.
It's really on the employers that see somebody in a vulnerable position, and realize that, hey, I can use this to my advantage.
Right. It's
It's
true.
an unfortunate reality of the world that we live in, and that's what keeps making self advocacy absolutely essential, so that you can push back and say, no, I will not be manipulated with this. It's hard to push back, um, but it's necessary, and one of the few tools that we have as a community to improve things for ourselves and for those that come after us.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You bring up a good point here, especially with the financial self advocacy. John and I often say that the whole reason why we do this, why we encourage LGBT folks to think about financial security and financial independence, is because of the value it will bring to our community. It's not just financial, right? Especially with what we see going on in the country right now, all of these anti-trans, anti-LGBT bills that are being put out there. It's not just politicians that have to do this fight. There are people who are contributing to causes to try to help make this, to try to bring about equality, and that costs money. It costs money to do those kinds of things, and our community has to be in a place where we are contributing and driving the financial side of that as well. And for so long, so we haven't been able to do that because of lack of income, or lack the income disparity. But as we improve our financial situation, we can contribute to that. It's not just about, it is in part about making our own lives better with the things that we can have, the freedoms that we can have, but it's also about making the lives of our community better and the lives of the people who come after us better as well.
Yes, fully.
So, what would you give our listeners as maybe one piece of advice or one action step? What can I do today to start advocating for myself?
Research would be my number one piece of advice. There are over 4 billion people on this planet with access to the internet, same as you do. Odds are very good, if not excellent, that you're not the first person to be up against the problem that you're most concerned about right now.
Oh,
Um, Other people have been in your shoes before. They found a way to come on top. It's time to sit down with Google and find those people to take a page out of their book and use it so that you too can come on top. Even if you can't find someone with your exact same problem, you can still borrow from their actions and apply to them what you can.
I
I
love
actually
that.
talk about this as well in another article that I like to call the power of some. You might not be able to do everything that this successful person did, but can you do some of it?
yeah.
Like when it comes to finances, you might not be able to negotiate $1 million salary, but can you negotiate for more than what you're currently getting?
Mhm.
Right.
I love that. I think if you're able to find those people who have some of your story, there's such an easy way to connect with people now. Maybe even if you have the opportunity, reach out to them and see if they have any advice or suggestions. Say, our story isn't exactly the same, but what would you suggest that I do to solve my situation? I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. So, we'll definitely link to your article, Self-Advocacy and Finance, Take Care of Yourself and Your Money, which is at wewantguac.com. But are there other resources that you have for listeners or viewers to help them with their self-advocacy, whether from your own platform or anything that has helped you?
Yeah, so in the personal finance space specifically, I really like one site that's run by the Pioneers. They really embrace the power of some and self-advocacy when it comes to financial independence. They understand not everyone can become financially independent at a young age that you might hear of in these really sensational news stories, but they focus on helping people slow down, embrace where they are, and figure out how to make a better work-life balance now in their lives.
Yeah, I love that. There was like the whole Brove movement in the uh, building your own business, becoming an entrepreneur. Like you just got to like power through, and you got to like work and hustle and hustle and hustle, and that got old and tiring. But I'm glad to see that there are people in the personal finance space who are saying, you don't need to have $1 million by the time you're 25. You don't need to
Yeah.
have, you don't need to retire at 25. Like just slow down, figure out what it is you want, and you can get there. Just take a chill.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that it helps to not then play the comparison game, right? When you say, you know what, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to go at the speed that I want to go at, whether that is 100 miles an hour or a crawl. I'm going to go at the speed that I want. It helps you to then get off the comparison game of saying, well, that person did it by the time they were 32. Good for them. Celebrate the fact that they
Yeah.
did. It's awesome that you did it. But you know what? I'm going to get there when I'm 45 or 55, whatever.
There
Right.
should be a website called Get Rich Slowly.
I think there is. Well, Darcy, this has been great. We really, really appreciate this, and I know that especially when it comes to, I think there are probably going to be some lurkers who want to check out your LinkedIn profile. So
Yeah, exactly.
we'll definitely want to link to that. But what else can folks do when it comes to connecting with you, either directly or virtually? How can our listeners get more of you?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram. If you look up We Want Guac, you can also reach out to me either by my site at wewantguac.com or via email at darcywantsguac@gmail.com.
And it's you have an award-winning website. You've won, I think, several Plutus awards. It's amazing, and I've never had the opportunity to ask you, but where did the We Want Guac part come out, and how did you merge that with finance? Or are they completely unrelated things that you love?
Yes, definitely. So the We Want Guac name itself came about because as a person in my 20s, I really love getting extra guac on my burritos at Chipotle,
Right.
even though they're a little more expensive. But things that are related to guac or that are related to avocado toast seem to be the new like cut out lattes of the financial arguments. And now I've heard a lot about cut out the avocado toast from your budget, and then maybe you can afford a house. Where no, that's not quite the way to help out young folks there. So We Want Guac was the name that I chose to help people on the path to wealth, specifically in their 20s, to really declare that, yeah, we're going for wealth, and we're going to do it while enjoying the process along the way, with guac or otherwise. Hence, We Want Guac.
Nice. I
Right.
love it. I feel like tacos are in our near future.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it was
Mexican for dinner tonight.
yeah, the first week of April, John and I went and celebrated getting our end of the quarter paycheck, so to speak, from one of our partners. And we got tacos and we got guac and chips. And I tagged Darcy in the comment and in the picture on Twitter because we were enjoying the
Enjoying our
guac.
guac.
So enjoy the guac, enjoy the life, advocate for yourself. So thank you very much, Darcy, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Darcy, for a great interview and bringing this topic to our attention. To our listeners, thank you. And here's your quick money takeaway from this episode. Take Darcy's advice and start researching all the ways that you can be your own best advocate, whether it's for a wage increase, an incorrect charge, or finding ways that you can help others in the community, as a rising tide lifts all boats.
Then join us next week when we're joined by the Motley Fool to talk about the Motley Fool Debt-Free Guys LGBTQ Money Study. We're super excited about this. Find out the current financial state of the LGBTQ community and what we can do next to improve our financial lives.
Thank you and have a great week.